Welcome, friends, to today's guided micro meditation. Close your eyes and take those 3 long, slow, deep breaths with me again. And of course, feel free to continue your long breathing or return to a more regular rhythm. We're going to explore today looking at the mind, exploring, investigating what's, quote, in there, though I place in there in imaginary air quotes because there is no there. And I've rather given a spoiler here. What I'm going to encourage you to do is inquire about the nature of mind in your own experience. Is there a location where the mind exists? And when you answer these kinds of questions, I want you to avoid as best you can answering based on what you've heard elsewhere. In these kinds of practices, we're interested in how things really are for you. Not what someone else has measured, not what someone else has reported. This is not to belittle the value of science, we're just doing something else here. Looking at how things really are for us right now, absent of descriptions. So is there a location where the mind resides? If there is, how big is this location? Is it tall or short? Is it wide or narrow? Does it have an edge? Does it have a center? If so, how do you know? Many of us imagine that the mind is between the ears and behind the eyes. But this is only because we've been trained to equate the mind to the brain. And again, science tells us all kinds of wonderful stuff about the brain. But is the brain the same thing as the mind in your experience? I suspect you saw an image of a brain in your mind when I started speaking about it. Is that your brain that you're seeing? Are you seeing your brain with the brain? Some of these questions may sound silly, but this is useful inquiry. Why? Because the better we know the mind, the better we can avoid its tricks, the better we can put it in the position of servant rather than allowing that thinking mind to be in the position of master, pushing us around. Where, for example, you live your life on the basis of, I thought a thing and it was uncomfortable, therefore I have to do something to change that thought. and therefore maybe I have to do any number of things to change my circumstances. To be more specific, say for example you're someone who suffers with low self-worth, and you spend 2 hours before you leave the house trying on various outfits just to attempt to feel comfortable, to feel that other people might accept you. Except that person is never quite satisfied when they walk out the door. But they go through this ritual of trying on everything in their wardrobe, looking for that feeling of being acceptable, missing the whole time that that is precisely a feeling. It's all going on within. We've no idea, any of us, whether or not someone we meet will accept us, or whether or not they will like our appearance. But we try to guarantee this because we don't like what's going on in the mind. But you see here, I've demonstrated insight into the mind's games, into these dysfunctional scripts that we all inherit. And the seeing is the beginning of the dissolving. When you genuinely see, hey, I'm really no more satisfied with the last outfit I try on than I am with the first one, then you can save yourself 2 hours every time you leave the house that you can dedicate toward things that actually help yourself and others. So look at your mind. Consider, how is it really in your own experience right now? Not how has it been throughout the entirety of your life? That's operating on memory. Not what does science say about it? That's operating on what someone else has told you. How is it for you right now? What is it like when a thought arises? Where does it come from? Why does it occur? Is it useful or harmful to you? Is it a thought that you would choose to have? Or is it arising seemingly automatically due to those old dysfunctional scripts? Those habitual patterns of thought. When you see a thought that doesn't serve you, when you look at it, when you look right at it, it's like you catch it out. Like playing a game of hide and seek, and you find it, you see it. Seeing it in this way, you become its observer, as opposed to being the subject who is identified as that thought. It's the difference between I am anxious and there is anxiety. Be the observer, friends. See how many times you can observe the mind today. See how many times you can call it out, so to speak. And do let me know how that goes. I'll see you tomorrow.